Hi, it's Angela and welcome back to our Chess Duel channel. Today I'm going to start a series on our channel in which I teach you what to move in order to win the game using the Italian opening. Today's video will be the first video in the series in which I teach you what to play when black moves bishop c5 on move 3. Be sure to stay for the full video as there are going to be some really cool tactics on how to win the game. So let's get started. The Italian opening starts with e4 for white, e5 for black, knight f3, knight c6, followed by bishop c4 by white. And this position is what we call the classic Italian opening. Today's video is going to be teaching you what to move when black plays bishop c5. Now, the whole point of what white wants to do in the Italian is to gain control of the center squares, which is d4, e4, e5, and d5. White wants to be able to castle soon, get his pieces out, and also another goal that white is looking for is to push c3 and then d4 to break open the center for white. Now in this position, white is going to castle. That's the best move here, as white really wants to get his king safe so that he can be safe when he opens up the center. Black will play knight f6. Now here, as you can see, the knight on f6 is attacking our pawn on e4. So the most logical situation here is to move d3 to protect our pawn. The reason why we shouldn't move knight c3 is because we are saving the c3 square for our pawn. To move the c3, that way, as I said before, we can have our d4 breakthrough later in the future. Now, let's say black also moves d6 to open up the diagonal for the bishop. And here we move the move that white is looking for in the Italian, which is c3. And in this position, as I said, been continuously saying, the point for the Italian is for white to break through on this d4 square. And the knight on b1 will probably go out through the d2 square and maneuver itself. Now black will probably castle in this position, and this is a pretty comfortable position for both sides for black. So, like I said I'm going to be doing, now let's teach you how to win for white. In this position, the move that I'm going to be teaching you guys to play in the Italian is a4. Now this looks kind of like an explosive move, like we're just moving pawns all over the place, but there's actually a very sneaky tactic behind this. Now white is moving this a4 pawn to, one, gain space, but also to maneuver in this cool little tactic. As you can see, the bishop on c5 can only go backward to this one square. Now, the bishop cannot move this way, as our pawns are protecting the squares. Can't move this way into white's territory either, because, pawns are protecting that area. And this d6 pawn is preventing the black bishop from moving back into black's comfortable territory. Now see, if the black bishop were to be attacked, the only place it could move back to is the b6 square. Now what we're planning here can be seen if black completely ignores this threat that's going on the queen side and moves, let's say, bishop g6 and g4, instead. Now, the trick that's coming up is we will play b4. Now this looks like completely explosive, but what's happening here is we are attacking the black bishop knowing that it has nowhere else to go. Now the black bishop, as I said before, can only retreat to the b6 square. All the other squares are already protected by white's pawns or white's other pieces. And as our a4 pawn is already there and ready to attack, we can just simply push to a5. And now, as you can see in this position, black's bishop has nowhere to go. Black's bishop can't go forward into white's territory as the pawns are ready to take the bishop. And the best move here for black is to probably just use the knight or the bishop to trade for two white's pawns. And white will be up material as soon as, just right in the opening game. So using this cool little tactic is how you can use the Italian game to win material and win in the opening. Now, let's go back to this position, and let's say after we play a4, black is like, okay, I see what you're trying to do, and plays a5 or a6. Now, those are the only two options for black to do to find a way for the bishop to be free. So let's say black plays a5. Now, the point of this is so once we play b4, black has this nice little spot on a7 for the bishop to retreat to, and that's untouchable for white. Now, if black plays a5, then in this position, the best move for white is bishop g5. Now see, we're trying to activate white's pieces, and this is a nice spot for us to also put a little pin on the knight here and get our bishop out. We'll soon also be thinking about getting our knight out to d2 and maneuvering the knight after rook e1 sooner. And let's just say in this position, black kicks us back with an h6, and just make sure to keep that pin for now. And some more ideas we'll have sooner is for the knight to go to d2, for the rook to go to e1, and then the knight can maybe maneuver outward, play h3 soon, and possibly if we build up enough pressure, we can also break through with this d4 move. That is really what white wants to do to open up the center. Now let's go back here and let's say black plays a6 instead, a little bit more passive. Let's say black didn't want to open up his castle as much. Now in this position, we should just go straight on with b4. Before, when the a5 pawn was here, we couldn't play b4 because the pawn could capture us, but here there is no pawn, so let's just go ahead and break b4. And the reason why this is so good for us is because this gives white a lot more space, and now the pawns are ready there in case we want to have some big attack on the queen side. The bishop will go back to a7. And in this position, the correct move to play, or the best move to play really, is knight bd2. And what we're planning to do here is possibly maneuver the knight onto this f1 square after we get this rook out, and we're also looking to break on the d4 square. And the reason why we can do that is because in this position, what black is also trying to do is maneuver black's knight down this way and to the g6 square. So as soon as this knight on c6 is gone, we can go ahead and prepare to blow this, to make this d4 explosive move here to break open the center. So rook e1, preparing for the knight to move away so the queen can protect here. Knight g6, and here you can move the knight back to f1 to get more leverage for the queen, or you can go straight ahead and just move d4 here. And if you calculate it, takes, this e4 pawn is nicely guarded by the rook and the knight, and the d4 pawn is nicely guarded by the c3 pawn and the f3 knight. And that way we can just really open up the center for white. Sooner, the next thoughts that white will begin to have is to push h3, sooner or later get the knight out to bring that to g3 or e3 after the bishop gets out, and really just dominate the center. Now if black moves any move in this position, way back on move 7, except other than a5 or a6, then we can use a sneaky tactic that I taught you guys, in which you can move b4 and get that black bishop to win the game. Okay, I hope you guys learned something from today's Italian tactic, or this little lesson on the Italian, and there'll be more videos coming soon on what to play in the Italian opening to get a great advantage to win the game later. And I hope you guys learned something. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!